Please let's take the roof off for one of the greats, our great friend, one of, I mean, a generational talent. Let's take the roof off for the great John Kearns! It's John Kearns, everybody! John! Yes! No. Tim said, you won't play up to the crowd too much, will you? No. I'll forget that they're there. Now, John, straight off the bat, there's one thing that you and I both have a love of, and that is we like old school entertainers, we like entertainment. What I'm getting at is the Michael Ball, Alfie Boe show. Please talk us through it, how it's come about. Do we think that they know about it and so on? I would love to know, John.
Okay. I'm doing a show with Adam Riches over Christmas where we're playing Michael Ball and Alfie Boe. Why? That's a big question. I don't know why. Why? Because we watched their 2016 Christmas special on ITV and texted each other saying, isn't it funny that they don't give these kind of comedy shows anymore to comedians? They give it to people like Michael Ball and Alfie Boe. So anyway, we're chatting away. Then, this might sound odd, but there were maybe a period of months where me and Adam only corresponded as Michael Ball and Alfie Boe. I don't know if anyone else has that kind of relationship where you only talk to a mate through channeling someone else, but it ended with us going to see them live at the O2.
Oh, that's in!
Yeah.
Yes.
The week before lockdown. So that was 4 years ago. And they are, of course, incredible at what they do. I think we didn't go ironically. It was just like, let's go and watch them do what they do. And we then, I'm not saying we watched it and thought we could do it. We just kind of, we just thought there's something quite funny about them. The idea of a double act, but they've been kind of put together a little bit. Michael Ball, obviously a great musical talent, and Alfie Boe literally was working in a garage, and someone said, I think you can sing. And he went down to the, Royal College of Music, and he slept rough for a bit because he couldn't afford, lodges or whatever. I don't think lodges was the word I was looking for there, but I'll keep going,
It sounded right.
It did sound right. And it's got to a point now where I think Alfie Boe isn't quite sure how he's ended up where he's ended up. And Michael Ball is this kind of, he's in that national treasure. Yeah. He took over from Steve Wright, Love Songs. He's Radio 2. He's one show, and Alfie Boe, he kind of just sits next to him, and he just thinks, "How the fuck have I ended up here?" And so we've kind of written a show about it. Crucially, not a play. Otherwise, we'd then have to pay for the music. So it's a comedy show. So that's on for 3 weeks at the Soho Theatre. December is nearly sold out. You can stretch your legs on January the 2nd.
Thanks for coming. That's our show.
But to answer your last bit of your question.
Yes.
I believe through multiple sources, they are aware of this show, and there is a very high chance they Well, they. The thing is, right? If you write a show about Tom Cruise, he ain't hearing about it. Or you write a show about Adele, she ain't hearing about it. You write a show about Michael Ball and Alfie Boe. I imagine Michael Ball maybe has, Google alarms, and he's like, that doesn't look like me. He's texted Alfie, well, do you know what this is about? I've got no idea. Who are they? So we've been told that they love the idea of it.
Oh, thank God. Anyone else thought that is not the way they thought that was going to go? Angry letter from the lawyers, cease and desist. So that reflects well on them.
It does, but it also shows a kind of showbiz side, which is quite chilling. In that, I think I'd feel more comfortable if there was like a letter from a lawyer, because I'd be like, yeah, this is how it should be. But what terrifies me even more is front row, arms folded. It's like, go on then. You think it's easy, do you? It's like, fucking hell, no. But they're also like very blank canvas. I think that's what it is. We're not taking the piss out of them at all. We don't know them. And also, so many people have said to me, I didn't even know they existed before you said you were... I didn't even know why you'd picked these two people to impersonate. But, they released an album... this week, and it will probably be number one, and it will be their fourth number one. And they are the biggest selling... non-solo act album-wise in the UK.
Great.
They're huge, but no one listens.
And this is all from that 2016 ITV TV show.
Yeah.
And John told me this a few days ago, and this is true, I was the warm-up on that show. Yeah, and those two...
The world turns.
I can vouch for those dudes. They are authentically wonderful. They are fantastic. Everyone in the crowd loved them. They were like legit Michael Ball, Alfie Boe fans. In fact, a bit of crowd work. I asked the crowd who'd seen, say, Michael Ball the most number of times, and it's a bit like I've got this Kylie Minogue story. It's the same sort of thing. Like every hand goes up in the air. I'm sure there was a woman that had seen Michael Ball like over 100 times. but the thing is, we love that era of entertainment, and before we love the 80s and Russ Abbott and all of that. All these guys, all these entertainers and showbiz people, they are fucking brilliant.
Yeah, and that is crucially what I want to stress. Like they are phenomenal at what they do, and it's just very funny seeing them do sketches. Like they were being interviewed on the Zoe Ball breakfast show, and I just found it interesting. She compared them to Morecambe and Wise.
But that...
And I was listening in the shower, and I was like... but they're singers. But it's kind of like the way comedy is funded now on television, maybe. It's like, no, you need to be like one of the biggest musical stars and one of the biggest opera stars in the UK to then be funny. You can't just be funny. And, double acts are rare and all that. So, I don't know, I just find it, myself and Adam just find it quite interesting.
Because the two of them, they do, on that show, they're doing bits and business, and it's,
They do skits, yeah. They do they do big sketches that you don't see anymore. The thing that you might think they are reminding you of is from the big Morecambe and Wise shows.
Yeah.
With the music and the comedy. But Morecambe and Wise, with the greatest of respects, I don't think were phenomenal singers.
How dare you? They got by.
They got by. But, you know, so I don't know. I don't quite know. Also, it's sold very well because I think it's, well, the first week has sold well, which I read as people going, I wonder how quickly this will crash and burn.
Speaking as your friend and getting defensive here, it sold very well because you're John fucking Kearns, my friend.
No, Adam Richards and myself.
Let me redo that again. Because you're John Kearns and he's Adam Richards, my friend.
Yes. Well, hey, well, I don't know. I mean, it'll be. We're having singing lessons.
Hang on, I genuinely thought I didn't. Hang on, I genuinely thought this was going to be an out-and-out comedy show. So you're singing as them in it as well.
Oh yeah.
Oh. Fuck. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, if it was a comedy show, I wouldn't be worried. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know, it's a joke that's gone too far. It really. Also, and it's quite funny that they're on. Oh, I don't know. They're on again at the O2 April next year, and I said to Adam, you know, oh, well, we got to see them. It'll be a nice way to bookend it all. But then, and I don't know what I was thinking there, but we were talking, and then I just went, maybe hold off on booking the tickets. And he's like, oh, you know, why? I'm like, I don't know, maybe they like the show and maybe we become friends. Maybe we're invited down, a nice box at the O2, a little wave. Is it too much to ask? The reality is, they're not coming, the show's fine, and me and him shell out 100 quid each to sit at the O2. And we sit there going, yeah, they're brilliant.
I think we're all thinking that there's that, you know, the George Michael, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Elton John, there's that moment, and Bow and Ball at the O2, ladies and gentlemen, it's John I mean, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? They bring you on and the four of you do a number together.
You think I haven't thought that? Of course. Have you seen Beyonce bring on George Michael, by the way?
No. Is it?
What? That's something to YouTube.
What? Spine tingling?
Oh! Spine tingling. Also, because it's George Michael, if I was sat at Wembley Stadium,
so Beyonce brings him on at Wembley?
Yeah. But because it's George Michael, how you're all picturing George Michael right now,
yeah,
I reckon 90% of that audience are going, that's not fucking George Michael. Because it's you know, the beard, the glasses, the hair. It's like I was at Fulham Football Club when I was about 10, and Michael Jackson walked around the pitch.
You were there at that game?
Yeah. And everyone was going, that ain't fucking Michael. I don't believe anyone ever thought Michael Jackson was Michael Jackson. Everyone was like, that ain't fucking, you're wasting it. Every football team in the country, every Premier League team should every game walk around lookalikes. And there is one game of the year where it's the real person, and they never tell you who it is. And you got to work out what films in the cinema. They were on Graham Norton last week. Maybe it's them. You know, that'd be fun.
Madonna at Palace Brentford.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
That's great. Now, are there any other? Are you right? So John and I, we mentioned this on a recent episode. John and I will send to each other these spine-tingling, like unironically send each other clips that we think the other one will love. You sent me the Chaplin encore clip where they're shouting more at the Oscars.
Oh, award, yes.
Have you all seen that? Oh my God, it's off the charts. So I know you love the like Bow and Ball. Any other of those, of that genre that you love?
Of musicians?
Or entertainers, you know.
I mean, they're not on my list, but that ITV Saturday night telly was extremely formative in who I became in wanting to become a comedian.
Yeah.
Like Michael Barrymore, who, you know, has 4 million followers on TikTok now, and is like this god to a younger generation. There was a middle bit of his career.
Michael, shall we watch that Channel 4 documentary? No, don't watch that, followers.
Fantastic documentary.
That is an unbelievable documentary. In fact, if you follow him on TikTok, watch that documentary and then rethink following him on TikTok.
Well, yeah. But
keep it light, James.
My kind of music. Like Saturday night as a kid. My God.
He was unbelievable.
Because you know he's in a shopping centre and there's an old granny who cannot sing, and he's kind of hiding behind a plant, like this is terrible. And you know I don't know how old I am, but I'm just screaming with laughter. And his clips sometimes go viral where he's chatting to kids and the parents are in the audience, or he's always the way he talks to. Right, I think a great art has been lost in the last 20, 30 years. No one talks to old people now with disrespect. What I mean by that is, you'd have like Barrymore or Brian Connolly,
yeah,
and they'd be screaming like, speak up, and they'd be like that. They'd just be like, what's she on about, and all this stuff. And the old people are always crying with laughter, right? Yeah. Or like Only Fools and Horses, just the way they treated Grandad and Uncle Albert, it was fucking real. Yeah. I was like, yeah. they're doing my head in. Like I think David Jason recently was like, I don't know why. I think it was one of these. I just saw a headline where it was like save the word git. Like that's all. I didn't read on. I was like, yeah, he's gonna die on that hill, you know. But I was like, yeah, save the word git. Like just like old people now, they're like, you know, it's like, yeah, you're right, yeah, brilliant. Like, nah. Early 90s, it was like, you get them to do something, they obviously can't do it because they're old, and it's the funniest thing you've ever seen in your life. So, yeah, I love Barrymore. And Brian Connolly.
You could bring that back.
Do you know what I wanted to bring back? I wanted to bring back...
Hang on, bringing back rinsing old people. I'm not Barrymore.
The industry is not in good shape, James.
Speak up!
I love that. Fucking love that. And they'd love it too. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Old people would love it too.
And that show, Barrymore, this was pre...
Mrs. Merton. She's 23 in that.
And that crowd cannot believe their luck. She's rinsing them.
She's slagging them all off.
Yeah.
Funny.
She's 23 when she does that.
She's 23, 24. Amazing. Genius. But yeah, genius. Who am I thinking? Yeah, and Brian Connolly.
Incredible.
I used to do a telly show called Guessable, and you know there were loads of acts on it, and he came on, and he's the one person I was like, he's the reason why I wanted to be a comedian.
Yeah.
And I asked him for a photo, and he'd never told me, but I think someone had told him that I was a huge fan, and I couldn't believe I was meeting him. Also, like, it's interesting, he did like, do you remember his sketch show?
Yeah.
And it was like on a revolving stage. And he was a song and dance
He
man.
was all-round entertainer.
Yeah, yeah. He could sing, dance, and then he'd do a sketch, with the puppet and all
characters.
that. Dangerous Brian.
Dangerous Brian.
Which was heavily borrowed from.
It's a puppet. All that,
I mean.
What was Dangerous Brian borrowed from? Oh, it was borrowed from Dave, the guy from Curb Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Bob Eisenstein. Bob Eisenstein.
Yeah, I can't remember what Dangerous. He was Dangerous.
Super Dave.
Super Dave. Thank you.
Super Dave Osborne, the stunt man, and the stunts go wrong.
But I imagine, so now we can say, oh, they borrowed that. I mean, like back then, Steve Wright on the radio would fly over to New York, lock himself in the hotel room. Well, he probably didn't have to lock the door, just shut it.
Johnny's painting a picture, and that door was fucking locked.
When I said lock, I was like, nothing sinister's happening. But he listened to the radio in New York, nicked all the ideas.
What, talkie bits and all of that?
Yeah, like listening to the American DJs.
Yeah.
Because obviously there was no way of getting it here. Then he flew back and he did his spin on it. And I'm not saying someone flew over to America and watched comedy shows, but Super Dave and Dangerous Brian are very, very similar.
Clive Anderson used to play Super Dave clips on one of his shows.
Clive Anderson's coming to the opening night of Ball and Bow.
Oh, it comes full circle.
We're in so much trouble. But yeah, Brian Connolly was. I don't know. You can't really shake. It was exciting. I just think about that period, and I think about my son. He's 3, and I'm like, God, what? When he's like 8 years old, what's he gonna watch that might spark something like that? Like, I don't know.
I mean, the thing Tim and I talk about a lot. That is a shame, isn't it? That those sorts of shows aren't a thing anymore.
I mean, I just remember, like, me and my family would go to Macro. Where like newsagents buy their stock.
Yeah.
I don't know why we went there, but I don't know why we needed massive things. I don't think we ever bought. I don't know what. It's odd thinking about it. Huh? I don't know what we did, but it was exciting as a kid. Oh my God, this is where the shops buy their stuff. This is where the shops. I don't know why we went there. I remember seeing I was at home and I saw a white shirt hanging in the kitchen, and it was my dad's. And I think I just looked at where it was made, and it said Kirkland, and I was like, Kirkland? What the fuck? I've never heard of that make, and it looks familiar. I'm like, Kirkland, fuck's that? Anyway, cut to, I don't know, the next day or something. I'm hungry, so I'm in the cupboard trying to find something, and there's some peanuts, and they're also made by Kirkland. It's like, like Costco, it's their brand. Right. So he just buys it all from there. He's buying his clothes, peanuts. That's what he bought me when I went to uni. Neither of my parents went to uni. He bought me, when they dropped me off, his gift to me was a jar of peanuts. He said, for energy. I don't know.
So, now, when you met Brian Connolly and he knew that he was your hero, what was that like?
Oh, he was fucking class, man.
Yeah.
He just knew what to do. He just, when you're being, I'm not going to use the word played, but he knew. Somebody had clearly told him. So he knew. He won't sell ice creams driving like that. You got it, you got it. You have to do it.
I can hear Eric applauding. Okay. Yeah.
You can't let it go.
You don't get that from Michael Ball. You do not get that from Michael Ball.
I would like if his radio show wasn't in a soundproof booth, though. Just, you know, you hear the traffic of Piccadilly Circus every 2 minutes. He won't sell ice cream, shall we like that? We've got a lovely letter here from Maggie. No, he just knew, and then I was doing a bit of business with some fake legs. And he took real interest in how I did that, and then he talked about how the prop makers were amazing, because basically the prop makers on Catstars Countdown are the main kind of prop makers in comedy.
They are unbelievable.
They're incredible. You write something, and you will literally write something completely stupid, and turn up a week later, and they've built it, and it looks fantastic. And that. You know, that's the kind of stuff where you go, it's just heaven. But then it's up to you for it to be funny. Like, you're looking at it and you're
to
like...
make the business work.
But it's funny though, like something looking too good can then make something not funny. I remember Harry Hill talking about what he liked about Spike Milligan and Q5 was that the cat that exploded, you weren't watching it going, oh, that's a nice cat, fuck me. You're going, well, that's clearly 4 tubes and a bit of fluff, and it's like, it's only got one eye. Like, they made that in about 10 minutes, and then the explosion. So it's almost like stripping comedy to just the images, like cartoon kind of thing. You don't have to show... You don't have to show that something's real. So yeah, which kind of goes against how amazing I'm saying the set and prop designers are. But yeah, Brian Connolly was just he just took a real interest in it. And you know, I'm stood there, I'm 35 at the time, talking to him about how to make these stupid legs funny over the desk. And it's something that is overused, this phrase. So much so now that Kirsty Young does a whole Radio 4 show about it, where, you know, if you could give advice to your younger self and all that younger self bullshit. It's my older self that I'm worried about. I want to talk to that guy. But you know, it's just so over. It's just everyone says it. Oh, if my younger self could see me now. However, that was a real bugger me moment where,
right.
Yeah, and he was so nice. Then he was asking me how to get on Taskmaster. I was like, Brian, I mean, you should.
He would be great.
He's fucking funny, man. Also, he does something which one of my friend's mums could do. And, God, filthy audience.
Filthy minds in the audience. I was thinking the same thing.
What? Yeah. One's a man, one's a woman. Arsehole, someone with the arse woman. They can bat their eyelids very fast.
Okay. I'm glad that's where that went.
It's if someone could do that, you know, like. Do you know what I mean?
I do. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, he used to do that down the barrel.
Sure.
Oh God, it made me laugh.
I saw him at Scarborough at the Futurist.
Wow.
And I saw Barrymore at the Futurist.
Wow.
And I saw Ken Dodd at the Futurist.
I mean, holy shit.
I'm like you, right? So I would never, when I'm warming up, I would never really ask for a selfie. It's not the done thing, really. But I warmed up a show. Harry Hill, Alien Fun Capsule, Cannon and Ball were on, and I saw them at the Futurist, and I got my picture taken with them. Because I think if you meet legit heroes, that's all right, isn't it?
Yeah, man. But I didn't see a comedian till I did a gig.
Are you serious?
I didn't go to any comedy as a child, no.
But you were a comedy fan growing up, weren't you? You listened to the comedy albums. There was always comedy
yeah,
in the
man.
house.
Yeah. You know. I feel very fortunate that I knew I wanted to be a comedian from the age of 12, 13. And I feel very fortunate because even though it has worked out and continues to, who knows what the future holds, but having something in your life, like a passion or a hobby, is I feel very lucky to have had it. And yeah, my dad, he kind of just drip-fed me, you know. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. He played me Derek and Clive when I was too young. He had Mike Reed tapes live at the Palladium in the car, which my mum wasn't happy about. And you know, Frank Skinner videos. When I had the house to myself, I'd like whack that on and be like, because it was so rude, you know. And he liked Jethro and stuff, because you know, he probably sold the most VHSs in the 90s, Jethro.
Yeah, I'll bet, yeah.
And my dad did after dinner speaking a bit. He worked in insurance, but you know, he kind of he had a file of gags, like he'd kind of collected, you know. And I always think he could have probably done what I do, easily if he'd wanted to. So you know, I and also the stuff that you're allowed to watch. You know, my mum's off collecting my nan from her shift as a nurse. I sneak downstairs, my dad's watching The Far Show or Red Dwarf or something. Yeah. And, you know, it's just one of those things where you go, if I sit really still, he won't notice, so I've got Or, like, as a family watching Billy Connolly and everyone in the room knowing what's funny, but if I laugh, they'll know that I know what that is. And if my mum laughs, she'll be admitting that she knows what it is. And my dad, he can just roar with laughter. So, but again, like, yeah, comedy is like the sounds in my head, like being in bed and hearing my dad call my mum to watch something. Like, you've got to see this. Like, come, you've got to see. Like Victoria Wood was a huge favourite of his. So yeah, I mean, it was around. It wasn't pushed on me at all, but it made people happy around you, you know. And you go, and you piss yourself laughing, and you're like, I remember Stephen Merchant saying, he always, and it blew my mind when I heard this, he was like, I just thought it was a job, and I thought, well, I'll just do that as a job. It just took the mystique completely away. Like, you know, kids should be told, you know, when you watch a film and the credits roll, those are all jobs.
Yep, that's right.
You know? No one told me. But that's 5 minutes of names are jobs. And, you know, I remember Stephen Merchant saying that. I don't know, maybe I was 18, 19. He just saw it as, yeah, I'll just be the person who does that. It's very simple, and obviously it's harder to do, but you know, I mean, come on.
For the listener, if you didn't hear, that was another place.
We are in South London. It could be mentioning it a lot, but yeah. Anyway, I went off on a. I reckon if you all stood up and left, I'd just still be here. I was in a dream then. I was in a complete like nostalgic puff of whatever.
I think that's profound, though. What you're saying there, you're right. I wish more. Yes. I wish more kids would be told that sort of thing, because you're right. That mystique needs removing, doesn't it?
Well,
I want to do such and such. Go for it. Give it a go. You know.
Well, I did. You know, I think my mum worked in a bank. My dad does in insurance. There isn't any. But that's what I like about stand-up, is that it really can be anyone giving it a go, and it can be your way into so many things. Whereas, you know, I imagine ballet's a bit of a closed shop.
Ignore him, guys. There's one question I really want to ask you, John.
I imagine ballet's a bit of a close shop.
Ignore him, you can do it.
15 stone, 37-year-old. Yeah, probably a bit late for me, that.
John Kearns said, right, I want to know, from the Varnishing Days, this line, we work in the air, we're crap on land. Right, when I saw that, if you haven't seen Varnishing Days, I mean, Varnishing Days is a masterpiece. I know a lot of you will have seen it. But that line was one of those lines, because sometimes when you watch a comedian, I'm sure you've all done this as well, you think, right, I can see they've got from A to B to C, and I can see how they've got there. I saw that, and I just out loud went, how the fuck has he got that? I think I love that line so much. Please talk us through it. What's the process? How did you get there? Is that from writing on stage and it's come to you? I mean, please, John, I would impart your wisdom.
Well, it's a pun. It's a bit that it's a bit in my show where I'm comparing myself and my partner to trapeze artists at the circus, and the joke being that the build-up to us actually jumping off is maybe not easy or fraught like many relationships are, but then it works in the air. I mean, I'm alluding back to there where I talk about the snowman walking in the air and all that, but I don't know. I mean, look, I don't sit at a table and write. The biggest thing I think is commitment and nerve. So when you're doing work in progresses, if it's going well, act like you think it's going well, and act like you've written it. Don't ever kind of think, oh, brilliant, yeah, or say out loud, oh, great, well, I've got that, or go to write it down. Hold people's gaze, you know. I remember seeing Tim Key. He's a good friend now, but at the time I didn't know him. And I remember just looking at him thinking, he holds his nerve. He's got his poems, and he looks out at the audience, and he'll stare at you. And you're immediately then in his space, and he'll look down and read a poem and toss it off, and it's just, you know, people think being a stand-up is hard because of the confidence of it. If you're still, if you hold silences, or if you basically always look like you know what you're doing, you can get away with some stuff. Like I did Apollo a couple of weeks ago. Now, you know, that's 4,000 people. They haven't got a fucking clue who I am. And they're going, why is he wearing a wig? Why is he? Well, probably half of them don't know I'm wearing false teeth because they're so far away. And, you know, it was going okay, but I remember thinking, if this wasn't being filmed, I'd kind of try and do something in the room. So I just, in my mind, I'm just going, just hold your nerve. Just look like you know what you're doing. And I just, the reason why I bring that up is, you know, the line that you said there, that's coming from work in progresses and throwing out the crazy thing, just saying it, seeing what sticks, and you'll be amazed what feels right in your mouth. And you're of course surprised by what you say. And I never record my work in progresses. The first time I've ever watched myself on stage was when I filmed my show that's on Sky now. Because two things there. I think after a work in progress, if you really remember something, then it's worth remembering. And also, I remember Tommy Cooper saying he never rehearsed in front of a mirror, and I imagine he never watched himself ever, because the audience told him what to do on stage. Those two things I've always thought about, which obviously goes completely against how stand-up is now, where you set your iPhone up with your tripod and you clip.
Mm.
But I don't know, when it comes to writing, I really just believe that if I forget something, it was worth forgetting, and if I remember something, then it was definitely worth remembering. And if someone comes up to me and goes, "Oh, I love that bit," and it's gone from my mind, I'm like, well, it just wasn't good enough for me to remember. So yeah, that line that you brought up, it wasn't a formula. It just, I don't know. You just see what sticks. But that was quite that's quite a personal bit. Yeah, you know, so much. I don't know. I was going to say so much comedy is not talking about things, but obviously, you know, Kevin Bridges tells you exactly what he's thinking and plays arenas, and people love it. But I'm a lot more into the. I like the vagueness of life. I don't like comedians that have answers, or people that have clearly read a book and they're telling, they're telling me that what they think about it. I relate to people with questions, mistakes, no answers, a thought that might be an answer, but ask them in 10 minutes' time, it's wrong, and they completely disagree with what they said, and they're sorry, and they don't recognise the person who just said that. Just that tumultuousness, and that is a word, but that's kind of what I'm into.
You're such a pure comedian. You're so funny. You know, funny just falls off you. You're one of those guys. But apparently you were not the funny tour guide at Parliament. Is that true? I just can't believe that.
No, I wasn't. No.
So what you were thinking? I'm here to do a job. I'm taking this seriously.
Yeah. No, I was. Yeah. Again, I feel like I have to explain to people that also, you know, I'm the only person who's done your fucking podcast who has to also remember there's people here, and I'm kind of, you know, you're very nice, but I think there must be at least 5 people in here going, I thought it was a comedy night. I mean, okay, it's nice, but I thought you said Ramesh Ranganathan kind of drops in now and then.
Again, speaking as your friend and getting defensive, this has been. I know we got serious there. This has been.
No, I know. You've indulged, but like, I worked at the Houses of Parliament till I was 26, and that was my job. And part of my job was being a tour guide. That's what James was saying there. I took my job very seriously, and I was very dry, because, and I've said this before, but I do bring this up a lot, but it's because it's really stuck with me. Ricky Gervais is interviewing Gary Shandling, and Gary Shandling obviously is thinking, yeah, Ricky Gervais has made a world-famous sitcom off, something that maybe he got the bones out of from the Larry Sanders Show. So there's a teacher, what's the analogy?
I think
master and
apprentice.
Love it.
Now, have you all seen the Gervais Shandling documentary? Hands up who's seen it.
Yeah, it's very good.
Hands up who hasn't seen it.
Yeah, well, there was
guys.
The 3 that didn't put their hand up.
You're in for a treat.
Well,
but not in a great. The vibe is off, isn't it?
Oh yeah, like Gervais goes around his house and he just keeps him waiting, and like Gervais is kind of giggling about how long it's taken him to come down the stairs, and then I think like the assistant goes, he's gonna have his lunch, so you're gonna wait. He just keeps him waiting, and it's so fucking meta, because you're like, well, so this is 2003 maybe, so you're like, well, these two are the kings of this awkward comedy. And now they're doing it to each other, but in a documentary.
Because he does one with Larry David, and those two get on great.
Yeah.
So I think it's a 3-part series. The Larry David one goes out first, Ricky and Larry David, and those two, the chemistry's off the charts. And as a comedy fan watching it, you're thinking, God, this series is going to be amazing. And then there's a Christopher Guest one, which is so-so. And then the third one, Shandling. I think Shandling comes back to his own house, and Gervais, I might be misremembering, is in his fridge. And Shandling's vibe is very much, what the fuck is this guy who I do not know doing in my fridge or in my kitchen? And fuck me,
Yeah.
it's like pushing two magnets together, such is the lack of chemistry. But it's weirdly, I mean, you're right. It's that cringe comedy because you'll be watching it like through your fingers because it's.
But the big moment, the argument they have is.
There's an argument. Yeah.
So Gervais goes, Gary, you're so bloody funny. It's just you're just a funny man. And Gary Shanning's like, well, it's a switch that I can turn on and off. And Gervais is like, no. There's funny people in the world. You're one of them. You're funny or you're not funny. And Gary Shanning's like, no. It's a switch. I know how to turn it off and on. You don't. And Gervais is like crying with laughter at this. But I remember watching it going, wow, like that's an interesting way of seeing it. And I am a switch person, and what I mean by that is I think I'm probably miserable company 23 hours of the day. but if there's a job to do or if there's writing, it's like, okay. There are people who I can name where I'm like, they're just fucking funny all the time. And they come on stage and it's like, there's no difference. Whereas I've never been interested in that. Like, it's great to watch. Some of my favourite comics and friends are like that. But I love what happens when you go on stage and the switch and doing something different that you can only do in a comedy club because do you know what I mean? I like that stuff.
No.
Open a can of worms here. God almighty.
Now, look, I know in Britain, before you get an act on, this is the MC speaking, the MC in me speaking here. So what you don't do is you don't give the person's credits. In America, they love you to give the credits. They want the full resume reading out. You know him from blah 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 blah, and so we're friends. So I've introduced John. Bit of a joke, but I didn't want to say it as the intro. But the fact that the first person in history, I can say it now. We're into it. The first person in history to do back-to-back Edinburgh. I mean, that must be a thing that to this day you still think about and go, fuck me, yeah, I that first person who climbed Everest. I mean, you've got that forever, haven't you?
Yeah, I'd like to know how the person who climbed Everest feels about that. It's interesting, that stuff, because the Edinburgh Awards are not a race you enter. Just because you're doing a show up there, you're immediately up for it. Now, I won a cheque with the first award I won, which meant I went back to work at Parliament, and I weighed it up, and I thought, fuck it, jump. And it was because of that cheque. And then, the following year, you've got to presume most people don't know what we're talking about here. I just won 2 awards back to back in Edinburgh, look, I mean, they're important to me. I'm not going to be one of these people that's like, fuck awards. they're great, you know. I could show my parents and go, it's all going all right. When you have a tough gig, you go, well, you did 25 in a row that went well enough that you did that. I mean, it's just funny that the year I won the main award, it was James Acaster, Ramesh Ranganathan, Liam Williams, Sarah Pascoe. So I think they did all right, I'm sure now they're like, yeah, you can have the award, John. How's that check still going? We've had a few more since then, but yeah, you keep hold of that check.
So 2013, Best Newcomer, 2014, Best Show. Is that
and like, again, I'm not going to be like modest, or I'm not going to be like kind of faux. I'm not, they were very important to me, and there were a couple of quiet years after that, but having them, kept you going, and it still feels good. And every year when you see who wins it, and there's been under 50 people that have won that award.
Jesus.
You look at the names of people that have done it, and you're like. But I remember when I had to host the awards the year after. I had to do it with Andrew Flintoff, and he did a podcast about a week later, and he was just. He kept referring to me by my Twitter handle. I was like, what the fuck? He thinks my name is John's Fur Coat. That's my Twitter. He kept calling me John's Fur Coat. I was like, well, my name isn't my Twitter handle. But then he kept kind of, he was like, he apparently won the award. Apparently, Frank Skinner and Al Murray have won it. So I don't know who this guy is. Like, it's kind of like you're competing with those names that, the award was a very different thing in the 90s than it is now, and it was when I won it. So it's interesting, and awards and comedy don't really blend. But I'm very I was delighted about it, and if I drop dead tomorrow, I think that's the obituary, isn't it?
God, imagine if he did. Now, are you like now?
Keep those cameras running.
Fuck.
I'm driving home with this microphone. How long's this lead?
If he dies tomorrow, it'll be a short trial for me. Now, Jeff Hurst once said that he didn't want anyone else to score a hat-trick in the World Cup final, right? Are you like that? Are you like, I hope no one else does the back-to-back, or do you not care?
No, God, I hope no one else does it, Be mad if I said yeah. Natalie Palamides, she was nominated this year, and she messaged me going, well, could be me and you. And I was like, yeah, it could be, but you got to do it. I don't care. It's just mad. I'd be like, good luck. That's the thing. Like, it's just like in anyone's career, it's just you think the thing that might not make you happy, but the thing that might change things for you, it rarely is the thing. And it's like Joe Kent Walters, amazing comic. He's doing Soho Theatre in January. He's sold out this month, but he won Newcomer this year, and he's 26, I think. And he teched my show in 2017. I've known him for a few years now. And seeing how excited and the buzz of that, and seeing where he was in his career, and having a 10-year difference, me looking at that. And he kind of wears like white face paint, and he's like, he looks fucking mad. And I'm just looking at him like, it's going to be a long 10 years for you, Joe. Because it's like, it's just, he's at the start of his career. with that.
Yeah.
And he won the BBC Comedy Award. And, I'm very excited to see where he goes. But it's just interesting when you ask or when you see other people winning things, you inevitably think back to where you were in your life when you had that. And it's just interesting how the work is the thing. You just got to keep fucking doing it. The people that are brilliant and survive are the ones that are consistent and do it year in, year out. And that's knackering, but that's the job, and that's what makes great people great.
Brilliant. Now I know we've got to get to the format, but I've got to.
Yeah, a few people like, I beg your pardon. Tell me that wasn't preamble. Let's start recording, yeah? Now I think we're warmed up. I mean, what time is it?
9:15.
It's been good, though.
It's been good. John, you're a legend. Right, we're going to grab a break there. Grab yourselves a drink. We'll come back in about 10-15 minutes for the formatty bit. Let's take the roof off for the great John Kearns. So Tim said before the show, how long do you think it'll be? And I said, I'm going to aim for an hour. Tim basically went, fuck off. Right, John Kearns, you are curating your dream gig. Do you have any pre-gig rituals?
Not really, no. I mean, I because obviously, I've had the same wig for 11 years, 12 years now. So I've never lost that, which I find quite mad. But yeah, I mean, it might sound odd, but I check my teeth are in my breast pocket. And then
we can all relate to that.
Yeah. Tour show, iron a shirt, get into a little rhythm. But no, I'm not one for rituals really. Never drunk before going on stage. I don't drink before a show. It's the one thing I think you've got. Hopefully you've got material, but I mean, it'd be odd if comedy was just paying to see someone more sober than you. Look at that guy! But yeah, I try and I've really tried to do this. And since having a kid, that has certainly helped, but it still cripples me having a gig. I know that sounds mad, but I'm gigging tomorrow, and as soon as I wake up, it's like the countdown. It's not a normal day at all. It's like you're having a nice day, and then it hits you what you're doing later on, and that has never gone away. But the reason why I said having a kid is that I do try now and act like I'm not gigging, like I've got nothing on in the evening, and then 5 o'clock I allow my brain to go, you need to start thinking of some stuff, because I don't really have a 20-minute set that I do, which is mental, but I just kind of at the moment, the last couple of weeks I've just been doing scratch cards on stage.
Oh, that's great.
And just kind of seeing, fuck me. Imagine that, winning £1 million. Share it with the audience, maybe. Have a laugh. I don't know, God, yeah. So nothing really. Just I do still get nervous. I'm not a comic who doesn't get nervous. I'm very different. Like, I'm pacing around. I don't really talk to people. Once the gig is done, goodness me, it's just like, wow. Like I remember I did a gig with Diane Morgan, and we were talking about how just how nervous we were, and like just how tough it is. And then I won't say who it was, but he's a very brilliant and famous comedian. I wouldn't have done it, but Diane brought up to him what we were talking about. And he went, well, if you don't like it, then why are you doing it? And I was
Fuck
like,
you.
well, it was fuck you, but also I do think about that a lot. I do think, like, you know, if you're constantly got this angst, not Woody Allen crawling out of the
window,
yeah. But, you know, it's interesting. Why put yourself through it?
I'd say we're all different, and I think of I'm from the north. I'm not a rugby union guy, but Johnny Wilkinson, apparently, I've interviewed him. I think he had that all the time, didn't he? And he's one of the greatest to ever do it. We all have our foibles. I feel that what that person said, I feel they're objectively wrong.
Yeah, I just think, you know, especially with stand-up, there's a microphone. You can say whatever you want into that microphone. Before you're about to go on stage, I always am thinking, you know, of all the words, why are you going to say the ones that you're about to say? I'm not crippled by it at all. But, yeah, before a show, I'm just pacing around, probably a bit nervous. But
shows you care as well.
I just think you just hope it goes well. Even driving here tonight, I was like, you know, you don't want to be boring, and then you're like, well, you got it in you. that can happen. That can regularly happen. Also, I'm like, just don't drift. Don't let James ask you a question and then drift into just giving your opinions about everything and then going, sorry, James, what was the question again? Focus.
Who would MC the gig?
Okay. Well, this is obviously a nightmare scenario. I just want to say that I've picked this gig on the basis that it is a dream lineup, and it is November 2024, and the last couple of days I've always thought, oh, what would mine be? But knowing that I was actually doing it, I was like, okay, look, say you had to do it now, right now, what is it? So weirdly, the MC is me and Pat Cahill.
Oh, fantastic. Brilliant.
So myself and Pat have, for the past 12 years, done a twice yearly. There was a period where it was every night in Edinburgh, but we do our own gig, like a mixed bill night. And we get anyone on, and it's just me and Pat on stage, emceeing, but it's us for, say, half an hour, and then getting an act on. Pat is not only one of my close friends who we met at uni, but he's just a phenomenal comic. And I think we work well together in that, without picking it apart too much, he can be quite calm, quite laid back, methodic, and I'll just snap and I'll just go, and he'll reel me in, and I don't know, we do it once a year, twice a year at most, but it's a chance for me to see a mate, because obviously we don't see each other as much anymore, but also it's the hardest I've ever laughed on stage, where things have happened or he said something, and that is what you want. You know, like the hardest you laugh is when you're at school, and you know, I like the idea that there are 2 nights a year where I know it's going to happen. Yeah, man, it's me and him. It's one of our nights.
When I was open mic, Pat and I were open mic at the same time. He was just...
Well, you know the facts about Pat?
Go on.
Well, you should know.
I don't know which facts you're going to say.
Do you know, Tim?
It depends which one you're going to say.
Thank you, Tim.
He doesn't say much. But when he does...
He took some away.
Well, Pat tells me this, but maybe you're going to tell me it's wrong. First act to ever play ABC.
That is correct. That is... I mean, it could have been any fact in my defence, but now that you've said it out loud, I see where you're coming from. Pat Cahill was the first ever comedian to play Always Be Comedy.
And on a past pod, Tim's choice to do Taskmaster. If you could pick anyone.
Was Pat was Tim's main choice?
Well, let's ask him. Tim?
Oh, you know what? Yes,
Yeah.
you're absolutely correct. We have had that chat. Pat would be unreal on Taskmaster.
Well, not only is he a phenomenal comedian, but he also...
He's an angel as well, isn't he?
He
Apparently not.
No, he's a nice guy. But he's a set designer as well. He's a model maker. So he has made models for, all over the world for national theatres and ballet and dance. Anyway, he's probably thinking, what the fuck am I on about? But yeah, he's a brilliant comic. And it's just one of these things where, like, when you look at who you started out with and now they are to people who they are. People, like Nish Kumar, James Acaster, the list goes on. Sarah Pascoe, and all these people that, can play the Palladium, and people up and down the country will see them tour, and HBO, Netflix specials, and these were all people you started out with 12 years ago.
Yeah.
I like the idea that this gig has that.
In that case, great choice. In that case, who opens?
Well, I've picked this person purely on that I'd love to have seen them live, and that would never happen. I would like Bernie Mac to open.
Mate, I thought you were going to say Bernard Manning. And I thought, I was not expecting...
If Bernard Manning was on, you'd go.
You would go. Bernard Manning... I'm on thin ice here, but I'm staying on the ice. In terms of telling jokes and delivery and timing, etc., Bernard Manning was a phenomenal comedian, technically. It was just some of the stuff that was coming out of his mouth. I mean, we could bring it back to Mrs. Merton. I mean, that's an incredible episode, isn't it?
That's a great clip. Look up, if you're listening to this at home, or for the people sat here.
Don't you look at it now, though.
Look up Bernard Manning on Mrs. Merton and George Michael coming out to Beyonce.
lovely homework, that, John.
That'll get your algorithm going. That will shake it up a little bit. It's got too used to what you do. Throw that at it. See what happens.
Well, now to add extra spice, but lovely spice to the algorithm, you know what I'm going to say? Bernie Mac on Def Jam comedy with the jeans, with his face on the jeans. There aren't many more electrifying stand-up sets that you will ever see, ever.
That clip is. So I saw that clip. Now, I'm wondering whether I saw it before this, but the reason why that clip lives in my mind is I'm in Edinburgh, it's 2008, Bernie Mac has just died. I go and see at the stand Honourable Men of Art with Daniel Kitson, Andy Zoltzman, I can't remember who else is there, but anyway, Bernie Mac has just died, so Daniel gets out his laptop, sorts out the screen,
Yeah.
and shows this clip.
That clip? Fuck.
That clip.
Incredible.
And that clip is electrifying, and his set at Kings of Comedy is absolutely
It's
unreal. It's unreal. Like, and there is also, I think as well,
the charisma.
Oh, it's just so fucking funny, man. And also big men. Keep talking, John. Don't leave it there. Big. don't you dare edit that. Don't you dare edit that. Oh God, Stan Laurel, was he the big one? I can't remember.
No, Oliver Hardy.
Oliver Hardy, thanks, yeah. Oliver Hardy, big guy, the little fingers.
Yeah.
Just delicately.
Yeah, it was all that. It was all here, yeah.
Or Newman and Seinfeld when he's running down the street and
Yeah.
he's so quick.
Yeah.
And he's massive.
Yeah.
Bernie Mac, he was a big man, but the way he held like his handkerchief,
Oh.
or the way his fingers would just like dance,
Yeah.
and it's just fucking hilarious. You're just like, for such a big, imposing guy, to be light on his feet, and just that delicate touch with his fingers. Oh man, always made me laugh my head off. But also so that clip is from is it the Def Jam comedy?
Yeah.
Night? So that crowd, holy fuck, they're like, if they love you, they love you.
They're they're shrieking. The crowd is shrieking.
They're just screaming. They're just like they are aware that they're witnessing something extremely funny.
Yeah.
And that's quite rare. Like, to see an audience react how you think they should be reacting.
If you've not seen it, it's one of those clips where everything is perfect. The planets have aligned. The rhythm is there. The material's there. The
But
performance,
the guy
the
before
charisma.
him's died. Is that the idea?
Yeah, so the story goes, there's a guy before him, and his catchphrase was hamburger or something like that, wasn't it?
I won't judge it till I've seen it.
So the guy before him, every time he says a joke, says hamburger. I think that's it, right? And I believe, so the legend goes, the guy's had a tough one, right? And then Bernie Mac goes on and gives himself this on-the-spot catchphrase, and it's every time Bernie Mac gets to the end of the bit, he turns to the crowd and goes, "I'm not scared of you motherfuckers." And then he keeps coming back to it. I'm not scared. And the walls are shaking. I mean, by the end of the set, they nearly carry him out like C-3PO at the end of Return of the Jedi.
It's like it's a go-to if someone said to me, send me a comedy clip. It's just perfect. It's just so funny. But also, not just that. I've got an album of his that, I don't know, some of it maybe hasn't aged brilliantly. Again, I'm thinking about, the idea of this is it's my dream comedy lineup.
Yeah.
So I'm imagining maybe a little 150-seater. It's tight, it's dark, low ceilings. Maybe it's a small stage. There's people to the right, there's people to the left. You can have a bit of fun moving around and stuff. It's small. Maybe uncomfortable chairs so people have to listen, The heating's off, it's cold. Yeah? So they have to listen. No one's comfy. Also, I just love the idea of him walking on and looking at me and Pat. He'd fucking hate us. He'd be like, what the fuck was that? Why do you wear a wig? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, looking at Pat, like, what the fuck's happening? Pat has
Coat hanger.
He's got a coat hanger that he puts the microphone in. Bernie Mac hates it. He's probably doing 10 minutes going, what the fuck am I doing here? It's probably, it's a comedy night in London. It's predominantly a white audience. He's like, it's just fucking fantastic. And it's electrifying. And I'm just getting excited thinking about it. And I doubt he hangs around. He's off. Fire exit. He's gone.
Livid, but he's roofed it.
Like, we're like, we'll pay you. Fuck your pay. I don't. Love it. But yeah, I rewatched some stuff as I made my choices. I'm just laughing my head off. Like his rhythm, it's just innate funny bones and rhythm.
Yeah.
His rhythm is crazy, and there is some stuff.
The pacing, the rhythm. I mean, the rhythm is huge.
Love it, absolutely love it.
I mean, that entrance on James, he said this wasn't going to be as long. I'm sorry, but the entrance on Kings of Comedy, and you see him performing the sign of the cross and getting himself in the zone and all that. I mean, it's.
And he died. How old was he? 51.
He wasn't old, was he? Yeah.
Movies were just starting to.
Yeah, that's right. Bad Santa, phenomenal in Bad Santa. Spike Lee directs Kings of Comedy, doesn't he?
Yes.
The way that is directed is
It's crazy.
fucking incredible, brilliant.
It's crazy.
What a I mean, that's a
great
that's
special,
a great
yeah.
special. Right, who's in the middle?
Okay. So I've got someone doing 5 minutes. Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh, brilliant.
He's doing a 5-minute set.
Yeah.
Nah, again, I spent about 2 years just watching him. The shtick, the character. And then I read about him, and he's 50 when he... So what I find mad about Rodney Dangerfield is, so he was in the clubs with Lenny Bruce, but he didn't want to do it. He was just lazy. And he would be the funniest guy on the street outside the club. And he would be saying so much funny shit. And Lenny Bruce would go, "Are you going to say any of this on stage?" Rodney Dangerfield's like, "I don't give a shit, man." And Lenny Bruce takes a lot of his material.
Oh God.
But Dangerfield doesn't care. And then he goes and becomes a trucker for 20 years. Just leaves comedy. And then he comes back. And then he's got the suit. He's got the tie loose. He's got his catchphrases. And then you watch clips of him on Carson. And you watch him on the chat shows in America. And the one-liners are crazy. He's got the character down.
Sweating.
The audience are cheering when he brings in characters. My doctor, Dr. Vinabun Butts.
Yeah.
Everyone's cheering. I love when audiences go, "Yeah, we love you." Like everyone knows his fucking made-up doctor. I love. I love. What was the? It's not a brilliant sitcom. Is it, Married with Children? Was it the American?
Yeah.
When someone walks through the door, the place erupts. I just love stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's because the conceit of television is that it just plays into it so well.
Happy Days, they had to wait for it to... When Fonz walked on, they had to wait for it to calm down.
I love it.
Because they're fucking nearly giving a standing ovation every time Henry Winkler walks in.
I
It's
just
incredible.
love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So, and he's just... gags, just so fucking funny, man. But character as well.
Once he gets that persona, once he gets the line, I get no respect.
Yeah.
And then he's off and away then, isn't he, really?
I mean, it's just crazy. And then, what's so beautiful is he's got this set, and then he knows he's going to be called over to the couch to maybe talk to Johnny Carson, and he's got another 5-minute set.
That's very special. That's unbelievable.
And it's sometimes funnier than what he's just done on the stage.
He's done a stand-up set, roofs it, gets waved over. This is like show after show. Waved over to sit as panel, and then roofs it with completely different material. I mean,
and again, maybe it's certainly. Well, no. I'm going to say it wouldn't hold up now. It does hold up.
It does,
now,
yeah,
massively. And B, I absolutely guarantee it's what people want, and it would be embarrassing if he did a gig, because it would make people go, "Oh, he's got like jokes. No one else seemed to have jokes tonight." It was like. But again, just the craft of it, and just like you can just lose an hour just watching clips of him. And again, when I was going through this set of who I wanted, and by the way, I have avoided people that I would call friends or people that I know, peers. I don't know, I had to try and narrow it down in some way.
yeah.
He just like him doing 5 minutes. I don't know who's better. Like, God, again, I'm so fucking excited.
If you've not seen the clips, that's the most Johnny Carson laughs at anyone, surely, as well. Johnny Carson's crying.
Oh my God, he cannot fucking believe what's happening.
Johnny Carson cannot believe his luck.
It's just so special. Like, imagine being in the room watching that
Yeah.
recording. I mean, oh my God.
Great choice. Now, is there someone else in the middle, or is it just Rodney doing?
No, so there is someone who we've mentioned, Natalie Palamides. She does the middle 20 minutes. She's probably she's probably the best live comedian at the moment, I'd say, for me. Like, as in sheer excitement of what you're going to watch. I haven't seen her new show. I'm seeing it next week, but I don't know, man. She's proper unique. Like, her shows are phenomenal. And her 20-minute set would be absolutely... It might not even be very funny. But I like the idea that people think comedians need balls. Like, oh, you've got to be brave to get up and do that. You rarely see a comedian doing something that is actually brave. She does brave things. She makes brave decisions, brave choices. She attacks subjects. Like her last show, Nate, looked at sexual assault. But it's on Netflix, I think, and it's, she's like a one-off, and I feel grateful that I've met a lot of comics and I know a lot of people, but she's got that Robin Williams saying, keep hold of the madness that you have. Like, you've got to keep hold of that madness. You can sell out. You could do a TV show and it gets blunted a little bit because you're making money and you've got to live. She's held on to the madness. She has lucrative voiceover work that funds that, I suppose. But I remember Joanna Newsom did a Pepsi ad, and then she could release a three CD, 3 LP album with mad artwork. You got to balance the books. But she balances the books by doing brilliant comedy shows. And yeah, she's the best.
Have you ever had that chat with her?
No, she doesn't need me to say that. She knows. She just like... Yeah. That idea that you were saying earlier of watching someone and working out how they do it. She doesn't care. Like, that is so rare. It's crazy. Like Andy Kaufman wrestled women.
Yeah.
So she wrestles men. And she's tiny. I think she's 5'4" or something. She's butt naked wrestling these guys. Who else is doing that? That's what I want to see. I want to see it. That's what I want to see. You're getting up. You're going down the road to your comedy club if she's on. So I'm thinking, oh my God, this night. I'm trying to picture it. Thinking about the rhythm. Bernie Mac, solid stand-up at the start. Everyone going, okay, we get it, cool. Then Rodney Dangerfield, he's got you in after the break. Rat-a-tat-tat. You're concentrating again. He's done some body work to you. You're feeling soft. You're feeling open. Next thing you know, Natalie, whoa, dragging you up, wrestling. What a night. Yeah.
I know we're not there yet. Thank you, because the level of thought that you've put into this is not lost on us. So, cheers, dude.
Yeah, I'm not busy at the moment. I'm very much trying to avoid. I'm very much trying to avoid the idea that I got to play Alfie Boe in 3 weeks' time.
Right then. So who brings home this juggernaut?
Well, he can do whatever he wants. Barry Humphries.
Outstanding.
Yeah, best comedian I've probably seen. Yeah, I'd say he is. Yeah, he's the greatest in my mind.
So Barry, and he can do Les, he can do Dame Edna, he's got carte blanche.
I saw him at the Palladium in 2013. He did Les Patterson, he did Sandy Stone, which was, Sandy Stone is heartbreaking. Beautifully done. And then the second half was Dame Edna. What I like about Barry Humphries is his autobiography is phenomenal, beautifully written, incredible writer. John Lahr wrote a book about him, following him for a year while he did a residency at the Theatre Royal Drury Lane. He was the first comedian to play the Drury Lane. And this book is the best book on comedy I've read.
Wow, really?
Oh, yeah, it's big. So John Lahr follows Barry Humphries doing Dame Edna at Drury Lane. And Barry Humphries hands out, I can't remember the name of the flowers.
Gladioli.
Thank you. He hands them out to everyone. That was his idea. He makes fake, when you walk under a theatre, the canopy has fake quotes. He makes fake quotes and hangs them up. And this is a guy, so this is maybe early 80s.
Oh, I saw that show.
Oh, did you? Really? What, at Drury Lane?
Yeah, early 80s, yeah. I was a student.
Fuck me.
It was a good night, and my friend got told off because he dropped an ice cream on the stalls. They wouldn't let him have another one.
It's delicious detail, this. I feel like we were all there.
I'm very envious because, I've got an annual of his from 1960 or something. A mate bought it for me, and it's like when comedians made annuals. I think people like Harry Hill could probably do it now, but I think
the
it's
work that went into them was incredible.
Man, it's crazy.
Python took them really seriously.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'd love to do something like that. But then obviously Barry Humphries was brought over here, by Peter Cook, did The Establishment. Dame Edna was a satire on the Melbourne woman, this kind of middle class, clutching the pearls, buttoned up Melbourneite. They created the Melbourne Comedy Festival together. I know there was issues as he got older, but he did Dadaism, like when he was a teenager.
Right, yeah.
He did stuff like, now with TikTok and all that, pranks and all that, you think, these always happen. But this, in 1950s Melbourne, he's getting on a tram or a train, and then at the next stop, a waiter walks on and gives him some soup, and he eats that, and then at the next stop, a waiter comes on, takes the bowl and gives him food. He was doing that in his teenage years. So then he's Peter Cook, Establishment, Soho. He doesn't go well down here. People hate him. Australians think he's such bad PR. But then Dame Edna picks up, so go through all his career, like live. Think about it, ITV. He's one of the biggest chat show hosts in the country as Dame Edna. When he's on Parkinson, he is in control of anyone he's sat next to.
Events television whenever he's on Parky as well.
And it's events television a year before he dies, when he's on This Morning, and he jokes to Dermot O'Leary, you were extremely brave for what you did last week. Philip Schofield had come out as gay the week before, and he's just playing it as this old man, not realising that Dermot Leary is not Philip Schofield. Alison Hammond, she bursts with laughter. She bursts with laughter. She can't handle what's happening. And trending on Twitter at the time was Barry Humphries, and everyone who watched it is thinking, who's this old man who's just completely fucked it, that he thinks Dermot O'Leary is Philip Schofield? He's a 90-year-old man still being subversive, playing with his age, that people think he's an old guy. There's another great clip. Get your clips in. George Michael coming out at Wembley. Bernie Mac at Def Jam. look up Dame Edna interviewing Piers Morgan. She asks him a question, he answers, and I won't even bother impersonating it. But he says like 2 words, like, yeah, I guess so, like that. She just stares down the barrel of the camera like she's kind of fallen asleep, and she just looks at him and goes, huh? Like, and it's just, no one knows what to do. I think Matt Lucas and David Walliams are there. They just pissed it. They're just like, what the fuck has she just done? Like, she's acting like she's zoned out of her own question. Piers Morgan doesn't know what to do. Everyone is in hysterics. From a teenager to Peter Cook establishment to you seeing him at the Drury Lane, first comedian to play there, to becoming an ITV superstar.
Yeah.
To then, I saw him live in 2013, still going. He did some German Weimar cabaret a few years before he passed. The books are astonishing. The book on him is the best book I've read about comedy. And like I said, even year before he dies, he does this little funny thing on This Morning, and it's just him playing on being an old man. He's almost Shakespearean. Like, I remember I did a gig in Edinburgh 2013, and this guy's hanging around, and I'm putting my wigs away, I don't know. And at that, my first show, I put on a dress, and I put on another blonde, I put on a wig, and anyway, this guy's hovering, and he's like, oh, really enjoyed that. I'm like, yeah, cheers, man. He's like, my dad's a comedian, I think you'd really like it. And I was like, oh, okay, who's your dad? And he went, Barry Humphries. And I was like, that's, I think I've heard of him. But he was someone I always really wanted to, I'd love to have. Luckily, he took it very seriously. He was like Ken Dodd in how he took comedy seriously. And he was a big reader. I think that's important. But there is some stuff on YouTube where it's a recording, and it's from like something called Nighthawk or something. It's this Radio 4 interview with him, or Radio 3, and it's like 1 a.m. It gets deep. It gets no one's switching to an ad or music. It gets into the heart of comedy and philosophy and just life. And it's fucking insane. And the more you dig into him and listening to him talk about comedy, fucking hell. True genius. So I can't think of anyone else who can headline that.
Now then, a gig incident you'd love to. We're now a quarter of the way through the show.
This is very quick. This is a very quick one. Okay. Once at a gig in Camden, table like this, put my pint down. You know when a pint on a wet table just starts moving? Yeah. Do you know? Yeah. You know, it just starts moving, and you're not touching it.
Yeah.
So I put it down, and I noticed someone in the audience has seen this. I'm like, oh. So as a whole group, we watched it, and it just keeps going, and it gets right to the edge, and I just let it drop. Full pint, just drops. And I mean, I don't know, I just really remember that. Just remember thinking how funny that was to just be like... And then there was something I used to do once where I did it for only a few gigs, but I'd have a table like this and I'd ask for a cloth. And then I'd kind of grab the cloth and then, really whisk it away really quick and then be like... And then I'd say, oh yeah, it's that's more impressive when there's stuff on the table. Basically, I like a table. You can have business with a table. You can slap it, you can move it around, lean on it.
Brian Connolly would approve.
Yeah.
Now, incident that must not happen at this gig.
So, yeah, I mean, usually when bad shit happens, it's actually all right. You know, like, I've been attacked on the stage, I've had shit thrown at me, and you kind of go, well, that's just crazy. The thing that happened I was thinking about this. Right, okay, so I'm on tour last year, and I'm in Hull, and I'm doing the show, and then about 5 minutes in, to my right, there's a very high pitch singing. So I look over, and it's like, it's like that. So I'm like, yeah, I suppose so. Like, you got to let those things roll. About 5 minutes later, look over, and there's a woman sat on her own, and she's just staring at me, singing. So I'm looking at her, and people are laughing. I can see her. I'm not laughing. I don't understand what's happening, but it's not like someone piss winding me up. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, could you not do that? Please. Weirdly, I'm saying please. Anyway, it does happen a third time, and I've only felt a cold bead of sweat go down my back twice. Once at the Glasgow stand, where anything I was doing wasn't working, and this night, I could tell this wasn't fun. So I go over, and I'm like, you gotta go. And she's just staring at me, not moving. And also, the singing is how you're imagining it. It's horror movie, high-pitched, weird stuff. And I'm like, you gotta go. Not budging. In this situation, audiences, no disrespect, but you're fucking monsters. You don't help. You go, well, let's see how it plays out, yeah. Yeah, let's leave this guy to deal with it. So I'm there, in the wig and teeth, going, so I'm looking up at the tech booth, I'm like, I need help. Anyway, so it goes on for a minute, which is a long time if you think about it. So a member of the staff comes out and they have a chat. She's not willing to move. Then she does. She leaves. Now, the atmosphere in the room isn't, oh, thank God. And, oh, wasn't that funny? Or thank God they've gone. The room is going, what the fuck was that? And, it's tough. And the show carries on, but I'm shaken by it. I'm like, I'm hoping she's okay, but I'm shaken up. It was odd. It was a weird one. It was odd. It was uncanny in the Freudian sense. Anyway, so that was on the Friday night. Sunday night, that was in Hull. Sunday night, we're in Coventry. So anyway...
Oh, John.
At the end of the gig, I'm like, to the audience, I'm like, well, that was a nice gig, and here's what happened on Friday night. So, thanks for not being that. And the audience are a bit like you. They're like, God, that's mad. Weird. It's just weird. But I'm telling the story, and again, I'm not being... And I want to stress this now. I'm not taking the piss. Yeah. I'm literally saying what happened.
Matter of fact.
And I'm going, I don't know, I hope she's all right. That was weird as fuck. She was on her own, and that high-pitched singing was just not fun. Yeah. Well, that had a little bit of... That was Kasabian vibes there. Yeah. It was ethereal. Anyway, finished the show. I'm walking back to my dressing room. There's a letter leant against my door. So I'm walking back to the dressing room and I see the letter. I'm like, what's this? I open the letter. The letter is from this woman. She apologises. She said, mix up a medication. But, you know, hopefully we can go for a drink. She's in tonight. So I'm like, I'm reading this letter, and I'm like, so I open the door. Pat, who was supporting me, he said he looks at me and he thinks someone's died. I hand him the letter, and I'm like, read that. And he's reading it, and he went, she's out there? I'm like, yeah. And he was like, she was sat there while you were telling the story of what happened? I was like, yeah. So we just ran home.
John, there's no other way of saying this. Tim, bring her in.
I mean, yeah, it was, you know, and the only reason why I tell that story is that was the weirdest thing that happened.
To anyone ever.
Well, it was like the chap who had left the letter by the door. I said, "Did you meet the person who gave you this?" He went, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay." Then I explained it to him, and he was like, "Oh, it's like it's your baby reindeer." And I'm like, yeah, yeah. But, you know, I know Richard, and, you know, he's won a few Emmys, so he's okay. But this is happening right now. Yeah, that was a very... And again, I do want to stress, the letter could have been genuine. I don't think it was. I won't say why, but there was a few more bits to this letter. Now, I don't know. It might, I don't know. But these things happen. I mean, we were talking before the show about something. Comedians, and this is going to sound odd, but part of your job is telling people exactly where you are and at what time. And like, you kind of get told off if you don't do that. You're like, why aren't you fucking promoting where you are? And you're like, you know what? I quite don't love it. You know, like when footballers, they usually get robbed when they're playing.
Yeah,
they must think, fuck's sake, like everyone knows I'm out. Like
everyone knows I'm in Milan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, it's just things like that make you go, fucking Christ, you know, I'm not making enough fucking money for this for this to be happening. There we go.
But
Preferably, so yeah, sorry for the edit, no singing. No singing. No one's singing during the set.
Now, final question, John. How do you unwind after a gig?
Well, I don't, you know, I listen to the podcast. People watch things. I like nothing more than, like, later on, I will get in the car and I will put on either LBC or 5 Live. I like hearing talk radio. I like people arguing about either sport or something in the world that makes me go, whatever's happened in a comedy club doesn't fucking matter. I love radio and talk radio specifically. I just fucking love it. So I'll get home, have a cup of tea. I know you're not a fan of the caffeine before bed. I know
this is a fan of the podcast, right? Yeah, this is.
I know you struggle with that idea, but I can have a cup of tea, and you know, just kind of decompress. Like if it's a bad gig, you kind of, you know, you're shocked by it. You're shook up. You think, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Can I do this anymore? If it's a good gig, you're buzzing. Yeah. And that's why I try and keep my gigs just okay. So I go, How do you sleep at night? Just be average. Don't be brilliant. Don't be shit. Just be consistently okay. You'll sleep better at night.
John, we're very grateful that you're not just okay. We're grateful that you are a very special talent. Thank you so much for being our first ever guest. We're so thrilled it was you. We love you very much, John, on and off stage. Let's hear it one more time for the maestro, Mr. John, the Colonel.